Right, let's get stuck in then with tonight's session with all four of you. We have some good discussions. So, so the question was, did you all have a chance to have a look at some of the reading? I know there was a lot of reading, but whenever there's reading, it's really not expected of you to do everything, but just to, kind of like touch here and there just to get an idea of what the articles are about. Um, did you get to watch the YouTube video on analytic philosophy? And what are your thoughts? It's going to be a long night, people. Very, very long night. Okay, so I'm gathering Monday has not been the greatest, but I am going to have some discussion questions at the end. So I'm really, really going to appreciate if you are to kind of take part a bit. So analytic psychology. Let me just share my screen quickly. Actually, before I get to analytic psychology, I just wanted, psychology, listen to me, philosophy. I just wanted to remind you about our ICE 2. Did you all manage to have a look at ICE 2? Thank you, Elsie. All good. I appreciate your honesty. I know it's hectic. I know. And doing an online part-time course is it's very difficult, people. I really understand. Um, so I don't know if any of you have had a look at. Okay, high level is good, Zach. It's good. Sometimes that's all you need just to kind of get a feel for the philosophy or what the article is about or the terminology. So please, that's absolutely fine. Just quickly before we talk about analytic philosophy, just ICE task 2, that is due end of the month, right? 31st, which is on Sunday, Monday. Um, yeah, just those two questions that I put into the week 4 to-do list about technology impacting pragmatic approach in your field of education. I don't expect essays and long answers, really. You can just give me a little paragraph of each of those questions, a couple of sentences. And then the second part was watching one of those movies. I also understand that that might not be possible, but so if it isn't possible, then if you can just explain how you would use pragmatism or existentialism in your lecturing. So is there anything about ICE Task 2 that you don't understand or that you would like me to go over? You're all good with this ICE task. Okay, and again, please, I don't want you to take more than half an hour, 45 minutes on this. I know watching a movie will take a bit longer, but if you don't have the time to watch a movie, and you probably don't, maybe one day you could watch one of those movies and then you can remember this ICE task. But then, yeah, if you can then just, as I say, give some examples of your own, in your own field, of how you would use either pragmatism or existentialism. Yeah, time is a problem. I really do understand. So I don't want to make your ICE tasks, too crazy either. But this one is just so that I can see that you understand pragmatism and existentialism. Okay, all good then. No questions for ICE 2. Right, then let's. Analytic philosophy, focus on logic and philosophy. Yes, exactly that. Zach, you got it. Yes. So analytic philosophy is really just um, it is exactly that. It's logical analysis of things. It's getting clearer understanding of concepts. So it's not trying to interpret anything. So analytic philosophy is not going to look at a situation or a decision or a behavior and say, oh, let's see if we can understand it or get behind the meaning of this. No, no, no. They look at the facts and they want to unpack the facts so that it's totally clear for everybody. Um, so it's all to do with logical unpacking. And the three forerunners of analytic philosophy was Bertrand Russell. He was actually a pacifist, humanist, pacifist. He was, I think it was the Second World War, the First World War. Goodness, my history is not so good at the moment. But he was either the First or the Second World War. He was a soldier, and I think he refused to go and serve, and he was arrested. I know he was arrested at the age of 71 as well for what do you call it? Oh my word. Oh gee, what do you call it when somebody activist? Gee, yeah, okay. So yeah, so he was very much for peace, and he wanted to understand the basic of everything. Didn't want to interpret anything. Just what is the data? What do the facts say? So he was that kind of person. And then he and George Moore kind of worked closely together. Um, and George Moore was was one of his well-known sayings was something he said was that classical philosophy, in other words, the philosophy that we've done up until now, he said was is fuzzy, and he didn't like these high-sounding interpretations. He just wanted to know what are the facts, is it useful, isn't it useful, how can I use it? So yeah, the whole concept of idealism did not suit them at all. And then John Austin, he actually designed two methods of analyzing or looking at analytic philosophy. Um, and so, yeah, he was a language professor, and he just liked to understand things phonetically and grammatically and syntactically to break things down and to understand. So it's all about logical analysis, clear understanding of what is going on, no vagueness, no ambiguity, making the world just clearer, no interpretation, just this is what it is. Um, Education, the lecture hall would be a lot of debating, a lot of discourse, a lot of unpacking of things. So very, very Socratic in a way, I suppose, where so this is what you say. What are you actually saying? What are you actually saying when you say, um, uh, I don't know, we need to look after our environment? What are you actually saying? Let's break that down. What is our environment? What does it mean to look after our environment? So it's all about unpacking and finding out the core meaning of everything. So they didn't really propagate changing the world or um, sort of coming up with any new ideas or thoughts. It was just about really understanding everything, breaking everything up, wanting to be precise um, and logic. That was kind of like their core. Um, so, yes, Yanda, you have your hand up. Sorry, man, I was out of my collab screen for a while. How can I assist you?
I even forget what I was going to ask. Sorry
Oh,
about
I'm
that.
so sorry. I'm so sorry. I got so carried away there. I wasn't looking at my screen.
No, it's fine. We can continue.
Okay. Will you just interrupt me? I'm quite happy for you to interrupt me. Okay, so you can just start talking whenever you think of what you wanted to say.
Okay.
Um, oh, yes, and the other thing I wanted to just mention about analytic philosophy is that it kind of stemmed from Anglo-American kind of like background. So you'll see later on, we are going to look at continental philosophy, which is all your European kind of philosophies. But this was the analytic philosophy was in retaliation to um, sort of like the classical Greek philosophers, and yeah, so it kind of originated in the UK and in America. Just trying to think. It's not a very complicated philosophy. So what I was actually thinking is that we could we could get into breakaway groups, but I don't think that's going to work, seeing as that there are only four of us, five of us. So there's just a few questions. Sianda, you still good? You're okay. Okay. There's just a few questions that I thought maybe we could just discuss amongst the few of us then, which you were going to do in breakaway groups and then come back and share with us. Um, but before I get to those questions, if we were to look at analytic philosophy in today's kind of like digital age, in our lecturing, within this digital age, it's that um, yeah, so it's almost, I think the digital age almost fits in really well with analytic philosophy because analytic philosophy enjoys the data and it enjoys unpacking data, which obviously the digital world is all about. So it really is up its alley. Um, One of the kind of sort of like primary benefits of analytic philosophy in lecturing is that its strength or its focus is collecting data. So, from a lecturing point of view, if you were someone who enjoyed the whole analytic philosophy approach, you would be collecting data from your students all the time. You'd be looking at their behavior, their performance, their participation, and with that information, you would then tailor your lecturing, your method of getting information across. Um, yeah, you would identify areas that are difficult and then try and provide the support that your students need in order to, in order to effectively learn from something that they're battling with. Um, yeah, I think that's what I wanted to say. It's not a rich philosophy in the sense that you can sit and mull over it and kind of like think of deep life meaning questions, like idealism and realism and pragmatism and all of those. You could kind of like get into these philosophical debates, but this is just because it's so factual and because they just deal with like real raw data. It's really difficult to kind of get into a hectic debate or discussion about it. Um, I don't think there's really anything further for me to say. Is there anything before we take a look at some questions? Is there anything that you need me to explain or unpack analytically, of course, of any of this particular philosophy or any of the others that we've done up until now? Are you all okay with pragmatism and existentialism? You're all good. Sure. Okay. Um, so the questions that I wanted to pose is, it's we all talk about um, we
Sorry.
learn or we teach. Yes, yes. Talk to me.
I was wondering if is it possible if you can maybe take one of the videos and try, even if it's not one of those that you have given us, and try to because a when I watched the videos I was confused. It's just confusing. I just don't
Oh,
understand.
really? Oh, no. Yes, let me do that. Is it
Yeah.
specifically one of the one that I had for you for this last week? Let me
Yeah.
quickly go and open it. Uh, oh, is it? Oh, no, I've actually closed that window. Let me go and open it. Is it the analytic philosophy one?
Yes.
Okay, let me find it. Week 5. You can still see my screen, right? As this one. I should have opened it. Okay. Can you see my screen?
It's the questions on the screen.
It's weird hearing my voice.
Or maybe we can you can explain after the this class. Let's just finish with the class first.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. I can do that. How does everybody else feel about analytic philosophy? Sure. I will. Very difficult when there's so few people in the collab. But let's just have a look at these 4 questions quickly. Um, so just a question: Can you learn without teaching? Can learning take place without teaching? Now, if you had to ask an analytic philosopher this question, he or she would want to understand the meaning of each of those words first before they answer the question. So before I can answer, can I learn without teaching? I need to understand what does it mean to learn and what does it mean to teach. It's the same with the question, can I teach without students? Does teaching take place if I don't have students? So if I'm doing an online class and there's and I'm teaching and there's nobody on the other side, am I still teaching? What do you guys think? What is your definition of teaching?
I would say teaching happens when there's a learner. There's somebody that you are transferring that knowledge to. If there is no one, I cannot categorize it as teaching.
Okay, okay. So for you, the definition of teaching is the transferring of knowledge. Is that how you're defining teaching?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay, yeah, no, hey, there's no wrong or right here. There's no wrong or right. This is all of us unpacking our kind of understanding. So, all right, if you say that teaching is transferring knowledge, then how do you define transferring knowledge? So, in other words, are there different ways to transfer knowledge? Can I, if I were to read a book,
Yeah,
You
there
said
are
that's
different
transferring
ways.
knowledge.
Yeah, there are different ways of transferring knowledge. And
Okay.
let's take now you doing a you doing a video where you are teaching about a certain subject, but you don't have audience. But the aim of you creating that video is that it should reach audience or people that needs to learn about that knowledge, and then that is teaching.
Okay.
Because
So,
still,
yeah, sorry, carry on.
I'm saying still the knowledge is transferred. Though the time that you were creating the video, you did not have audience, but the aim of you creating it is that it should reach some people to learn something about that.
Okay. So you can you see that you're defining it more clearer and clearer. So now teaching is not just transferring knowledge, it's transferring knowledge. It doesn't have to be at the time that the teaching happens or
Yes, yes,
at the time that the intention of teaching is happening. Yeah,
yes.
I know it's complicated. So if I read a book, knowledge is knowledge being transferred. If
Yes,
I read a scientific book, okay, is that then teaching?
that is learning.
Okay. Okay. So, 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 what are you saying? What are you thinking and but not saying with teaching? You've got the picture, but you're not verbalizing it because. Sianda, did you want to say something?
Yes, I think even reading a book, it can also be teaching because someone did write that book for someone to get knowledge on that book, even if you are learning from that book. So someone did write the book. So it's also teaching.
So, okay, so now we have a slightly broader definition. So teaching is anything where knowledge is being transmitted
Yes.
or knowledge is, be it on a video, be it in a book, be it in a live classroom, which is, no, you're making sense now. Do you understand how we've unpacked this? So teaching in our context, the way we are describing it, is the transference of knowledge. And that transference does not have to happen in real time. That's basically what you're saying, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So if I write a book on some scientific thing, am I busy teaching while I'm writing?
Yes. No, you are aiming to teach.
I'm aiming to teach.
You are,
Aiming
yeah,
to
you are
teach.
aiming to teach. That's the real reason why you're sitting down and you're writing. Your aim is that somebody should learn out of that knowledge that you're transferring in that book.
Okay. So, and if I'm a lecturer in a lecture hall and I'm busy saying a whole lot of stuff, am I also aiming to teach?
No, now you are literally teaching because you are having audience that you can even try to test if they are understanding what you are trying to teach them. Is the learning happening in them?
Okay, so now we're bringing in human elements or an audience. So in other words, teaching is not just imparting the knowledge. It's imparting the knowledge to an audience where you can where you can see if learning is taking place. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, even that falls under.
No, you're doing well. This is exactly how analytic philosophy works. So it's literally just taking one thing that you're saying and it's unpacking it until you like realize, but hang on, I need to add more information. It's not
Yes.
just a case of transferring knowledge. It's
Mm-hmm.
you must the intention must be there. There must be an audience to receive it, and you must be able to judge whether they have received it. Then teaching is taking place. Sianda, is that an old hand?
Hello. Hello.
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Did you want to add to that?
No, I think Elsie
Are
has
you sure?
explained it very well.
Ah, she done it very well. Okay. So Elsie's the spokesperson today. Okay. All right. Are you guys sitting together?
No, I'm in Eastern
Oh,
Cape.
oh, oh. Okay. It just sounded like you were sitting together there for a while.
I'm
Okay.
in
Okay.
Protea
Perfect.
Glen, Johannesburg.
Oh
Wow.
goodness, definitely not together.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So Sianda, you're in the Eastern Cape.
Yes, I'm in Eastern Cape. Somerset
Okay,
East.
Elsie, East Cape. East Cape. And Elsie's in Johannesburg. Where is Zach has left us? Okay, who else is Navu? Where are you? Where are you? Is she still with us?
I'm in Cape Town.
Oh, you in Cape Town? Yes, that's right. You were the one that was in Cape
Yes,
Town.
I'm in Cape Town.
Ah, okay. Okay. So now we know what teaching is. So if I ask the question, can I teach without students?
It's a yes.
Can I? So I can teach without students.
Yay.
So I can stand in my shower and talk, and I can be teaching. Yes?
No.
But I aim to teach, and I don't have students. Why is that no teaching?
If you don't have student and you are in a shower, the main aim is to teach. It means there must be a sort of something where you record whatever
Ah,
you are teaching while you are in the
okay.
shower. So if you are just in a shower, you are speaking, and the aim of this speaking is that you are teaching. As long as it's not recorded or it's not written somewhere else, and then it cannot be considered as teaching, as no one will be able to access that.
Ah, see, now that's a very good definition. So teaching must be in such a form that it can be either received real time straight away or at some point by someone in order to transfer knowledge. Are we getting better at our definition now? Yes. Okay, so I can teach without students. It would just mean that whatever I'm teaching would have to be available to those students at some point. Okay, right. Can I learn without teaching? Or I should rather have said, can I learn without being taught?
No. you can't learn without being taught.
Okay, because if we look at our definition of teaching, then whether I read a book or whether I watch a video or listen to a podcast that was intentionally put together for the aim of teaching, then then I'm learning.
Yes.
Okay. No, that makes perfect sense.
And learning happen in different ways. But you will learn from somebody who is doing something that you will grasp and learn how to do that something. So you cannot learn unless somebody teach you. So I believe that even for a child, a small child, for them to be able to do a lot of things, learn how to walk, learn how to talk, they are getting a teacher. It's a natural teacher. When they see us doing that, then they can see, okay, this person is so somehow they are learning. So there should be a sort of teaching that is happening somewhere, that there
Yes,
is learning. You can't learn
it is
something
learning.
that you are not taught.
Okay. Or that didn't have the intention of, yeah, of being teaching. Godfrey says you cannot teach without learners or a target group to receive the information. Yes, you're quite right. So Godfrey, we were discussing exactly that before you joined, and because because that's where we started, and then the question was asked, but like for example, if I record a, a session, am I teaching while I'm recording? Because there's no students to receive it at that time. So then we decided that that would still be teaching because the students would be receiving it at a different time. Yeah, that makes sense. Any other add-ons to that? You guys are thinking very well. I like the way you putting this together. Okay, so we all agree that teaching, you need to have a target audience or a receiving an audience that can receive your information, be it later, be it in real time, and be it in any form. I mean, as Elsie said, children learn from observing. Parents might not be specifically teaching them, but they are learning from observing. And so by you, um, yes, I agree, Zach, it has to be received. It needs to be received. So then you know that you have taught and that learning. And then in order for me to know that I've taught, it has to be received. How would I know if learning has taken place? Because can you receive teaching without learning?
You have to test.
Yes. Yes. Anybody else want to comment on that? So I agree with Elsie. So teaching, if teaching is the receiving of information, and or teaching is the passing on of the information, learning is the receiving of the information. But I need to know if learning took place, and I'll only know that if there's some form of assessment. And that, I suppose, that's with everything. It's not just with academics. But good. Okay. Then the other two questions: um, inductive and deductive reasoning. Any ideas what the difference is? What is inductive reasoning? Is that a hand? Is that oh no, it's that. We analyze the responses and feedback, see physically if there's any understanding. If it's yes, are you talking about learning, Zach? How do we know that learning has happened? Yes. I agree. We look at the responses, feedbacks. Yes. We analyze, we observe, physically test. Yeah, those are all ways of seeing where the learning has taken place. And then what would you say is inductive reasoning? Any idea of what inductive reasoning would be? So basically, if I say to you, in Cape Town, it rains in the winter, and it has rained in the winter for the last 30 years. So I'm going to induce. Yeah, you look at the big picture, you try and recognize a pattern, and then you make an observation from that. So you go from the specific of noticing that it rains every winter to the general. It'll rain, it's winter time in Cape Town, it's probably going to rain. That's inductive reasoning. So you look at um, and you observe a pattern, and once you've observed a pattern, you can then predict something from the pattern. Whereas deductive reasoning is the other way around. So you look at, let me give you an example now. So if we go back to the rain example, if we say deductive reasoning, it rains in winter, June is in winter, so it's going to rain in June. Does that make sense? So deductive reasoning is more from the general to the specific, whereas inductive is from the specific to the general. So most of our theories and research theories, etc., are deductive. So you start with, you formulate a hypothesis, you collect your data, you analyze your data, and then you either prove it or reject your hypothesis. And that is deductive reasoning. Any comments on that, or anything that you don't understand about those two? Anybody? So I'm getting competition here from my dogs tonight. So far so good. Thank you. I'll see.
Very good. Thanks, Ryan.
If I gave you an example, I'm just trying to think of a different example now. If you tell me if it's inductive or deductive. Just if we go back to our classic philosophers, if we look at Aristotle, who was a realist, teacher-centered realist, would you say he make use of deductive or inductive reasoning? That he's the realist philosophy, realism. Would it be inductive or deductive? Remember, realist philosophy is that there's everything must be measurable and what's the word? It's not imagination and thoughts. It's real and experiential. And so, what kind of reasoning would realists use? Inductive or deductive? Yes, Zach, well done. Deductive, because realists want to look at the data. What is what are the facts, and then from the facts they deduct a certain conclusion. So yes, realists would definitely use inductive reasoning, whereas the idealists, Socrates and Plato, they make use of inductive reasoning. It's more about looking at patterns and then trying to make a general conclusion based on patterns. Yes, that's correct. So realism is deductive reasoning. Um, okay, sure. This was a very feels like a very wishy-washy session because of only a few of you. But anyway, we managed pretty much get through the things that the only other things that I do want to just highlight with regards to analytic philosophy is that in terms of lecturing, um, the as a lecturer in analytic philosophy or using this approach, you would definitely focus on defining your key terms precisely to avoid any ambiguity. So whatever your topic is, each term would be defined before you start your lecturing. So for example, if your theme or your topic was oh goodness, now I can't even think of one. The tax implications of offshore investments, you would first define what is an offshore investment, what are tax implications, what is tax, and then you would start with your lecture. So it's very specific, very everything is clearly defined. All the knowledge that you would be constructing with your students or that your students would be constructing would be based on logic and critical thinking. You would use both deductive and inductive reasoning, not just the one or the other. But whatever knowledge is constructed will be done so through logical processing. Um, as I mentioned earlier, your lecturing would have a lot of debates, a lot of discussions, looking at things from different perspectives. So, in the case of where we were talking about, can I teach without students? We first had to understand what teach meant. And we started with one definition and we unpacked it and we ended up embroidering on it so that we looked at different perspectives of what teaching is. So, and the other big thing in a lecturing room, if you follow this approach, is that you would be critically analyzing everyone's beliefs. So, you would try and avoid general assumptions and just, and I think a lot of self-reflection of your own beliefs. Sure, that is pretty much me for tonight. So yeah, just another quick question. If you're lecturing, um, do you go in with an idea of what you want all your students to know at the end, or what you want them all to be able to do at the end? Is there anybody who has that kind of approach to teaching?
Yeah,
Okay, and
follow that
that's
approach because I think at the end of each chapter there's like learning outcomes which all the students should be able to answer certain questions at the end of each chapter. Yeah.
okay. So, do you go in with that picture that this is where I'm guiding my students to be able to answer these questions
Yes,
at the end?
yes. So far, yeah,
Okay.
so far that is the picture that I go in with. Yeah.
And then would you use those questions at the end to see if they did actually achieve what you wanted them to achieve?
Yes, I would use those questions, and we have these things that we call teaching and learning activities, weekly teaching learning um activities, which every Thursday I upload something on Core Campus. That's like the online database for Boston. The activity will be based on what we learned that week. So I would sort of get an idea that this is how far we are and this is their understanding so far.
The understanding.
So that if they are struggling with something, we can sort it out there and there, or look at other option, different option on how we can approach this. Yeah.
Okay, so that definitely fits into analytic philosophy because it's also a bit of guided um, um, learning. So you're not necessarily the teacher in the center. Yes, you have a plan, but you're kind of guiding them towards that plan. So yeah, your students are still obviously trying to understand it for themselves, and the fact that you are getting feedback from them in whatever form, be it in the questions or the activity that you're giving them. Does anybody else lecture in a different style? Sian, is that your hand that's up? Your hand is up on my screen the whole time, and I don't know if it's an old hand or a new one. No, okay, sorry. Anybody else like to? Yes,
Hi.
Zach.
I come from like a FET-based background from when I've lectured,
Okay.
so we very outcomes based. So I do go when I used to lecture. Well, now I'm on the other side of lecturing. When I used to lecture, I would go in with obviously the objectives for that particular or the or the specific objectives for that particular course or that particular session, and I would try to gauge understanding by giving more scenario based, case study based, so that they can have more application. So it encourages them just to go and maybe further look or research on certain things and see how they can apply it to to make more application out of it for them to understand it better. For me, rather than just putting copying and pasting like blatant theory, I feel that obviously these days it never works, and
Yeah, you're right.
you're just regurgitating and repeating information. So
Yes.
I do guide my lessons via the outcomes or the specific objectives, and there is a skeleton plan, but then it can always change depending on
Okay.
what. I also put it back to the learners, depending on where they feel there's the important thing they want to discuss that's related to the content. Um, so I try and have them not go off the plan too much and deflect too
Yeah,
much,
sure.
but yeah, it always tie it back to the objectives and then apply it with more application style questions. Yeah.
Okay, those are really both very good strategies to have, and I don't know if you can identify, but there's a lot of idealism in the way that you lectured. In other words, you're facilitating your students discovering the truth. So you've got a
Yes.
plan,
Yes.
and as you say, you don't want them to deviate from that too much, but you do allow them to kind of like go where they need to go, ask what they need to ask, and that's all very relevant, especially with Generation Z. They love that kind of learning. They don't want to, as you say, just hear theory. They want to know how do I actually apply this? What does this actually mean to me in my everyday life? So yeah, those are good strategies. Thank you, Zach. Anybody else want to share their lecturing style? I see now we have. Oh no, it's not just the same 5 people. I thought we had some more. I got excited there for a while. Anybody else want to share their lecturing style, or if you're not a lecturer, how you think you would lecture, or you have lectured?
I believe with me, it's as I do tutoring. I'm not lecturing. I do
Okay.
tutoring and I tutor financial accounting.
Ooh,
So
sure.
if something like financial accounting, you tutor it as it is in the study guide, and then you are speaking a foreign language to students. So I
Yes.
usually so I usually will look at something that they can relate to, like buying tomatoes and selling them. That you cannot buy tomatoes at 2 rand and you go and sell the tomatoes at 2 rand if your intention is to do business. So I would bring such practical example here in my tutoring so that the students are able to relate and understand what financial accounting is.
I think Dr. Shani is trying to reconnect. She
Yeah,
just
to
lost her.
reconnect, I see
Yeah.
that we
Okay,
lost her.
sorry. There we go. That I think I lost connection there. Sorry
Yes, you
about
lost
that.
connection.
Sorry, Elsie. Yes, so I got the fact that the textbook would be a total foreign concept to your students. Sorry, I didn't hear what you
Yes,
said after that.
I'm saying that with a subject like accounting, you cannot just go there and tell them about cost of sales. It doesn't make sense.
Yes,
But
you're
if
right.
you are to tell them that now I'm buying tomatoes at 2 rand, and then the intention of me buying tomatoes at 2 rand is that I may go and sell it. So the cost that you incur in buying those tomatoes is what is named cost of sale. So the students are able to know, oh, this is what cost of
Um,
sales is, and then now it becomes a familiar something that they can be able to apply. Even if a question comes in a different way, they will be knowing that something that is categorized as cost of sales is this. So
yes,
they won't be confused when they have to apply it in a scenario.
yes, that makes perfect sense. Absolutely
Yes.
perfect sense. And that is also leading more towards an idealist way of if we can go back to classical philosophy, existentialist, pragmatist, sorry, not existentialist, pragmatist, idealist. In other words, this is what it is in real life. It's not just this foreign concept out there. They can relate to that. So yeah, that's sure. I don't know if I could. Yeah, I would need a lecture like you if I had to do that subject. I, I was not very good. Yeah, accounting. No. I know how to spend money. That's what I know how to do. But other than that, no.
You
I'm
know,
not a
I
respect.
got students that were lost in such a way that they didn't know. Some repeated it a lot of times, and when I bring it into practical like that, then those students were the ones that were performing at A levels.
Oh, really? Wow. Gee, it just
Yes,
goes to show,
yes,
it just goes to show.
yes,
And doesn't that highlight another skill that we as lecturers need to have? We need to be able to be flexible in our approach so that, and that is the thing that's one thing about analytic philosophy is that you judging the whole time. You are getting feedback from your students, what's working, what isn't, what's working, what isn't. Now, in your case, you realized that you needed to give this practical example for them to understand. And if there was one or two in your class that still didn't get it, you would come up with something different. And that is really, you know, thinking on your feet, being flexible, and yeah, and being able to just explain the same thing in so many different ways that eventually everyone in your class gets it. So yeah, that is very analytic, very analytic. But the five of you, this has been fun. This has been fun. I mean, it was actually quite nice because now I've got to know you five a little bit better. So I thank you very much for being here tonight and for engaging. It would have been really bad if there was nobody. I would have still been teaching, right? I would just not have had anybody receiving it. But thank you so much. Is there anything else anybody wants to ask or anything that you're not sure of?
Just a comment. Thank you
Yes.
so much. Listening to the different approaches that people use to teach in their lectures That is like sort of also helping me in a way.
Yes.
So yeah.
No, absolutely. I must say, you're never too old to learn a teaching strategy. And sometimes you get so, um, and I'm sure that the students among us who've been lecturing for a long time, you get so stuck in a way. And then, as you say, Ndubuyo, you just hear somebody else say this or that, and think, oh, I should try that approach. But yes, it definitely, especially with philosophy of education, everybody has their own kind of like way of doing things, and we can learn so much from one another. Godfrey says, geography lecturer, simplify my teaching. I relate geography phenomena to real life situations, drawing examples from a local. Yes. Godfrey, talking about having Elsie as my accountancy teacher, I wish I had used because geography to me was two-dimensional. It was maps on paper and um, earth earth what do you call it when they show you all the layers of the earth. It was always two-dimensional on paper. I could never relate to real life and real planets and real things on earth. So yeah, no, those are the things that definitely work, especially with this new generation. So well done, well done. And Godfrey, the important thing when you say local perspective, that to me is another skill as a lecturer to learn, because we're sitting with such diversity in our lecture halls, um, that to relate things to what each and every one of those students can relate to, to hook it, it's a skill. It really is a skill. It takes hard work, but I think it's very rewarding if you get it right. So yeah, well done. Anything else? Anybody else want to comment or? No, you guys all good. Well, really, thank you for joining tonight. I will upload this recording. I will put it onto VC Learn. I don't think I'm going to put it on the session, was it? It was what I liked about this is that it's nice because everybody's had a chance to talk, and the more you talk, the more I get to know you. So, or even just typing up comments, I get to understand you and know you. So I like that. So thank you for that. Thank you for participating and engaging. Um, yes, the assignment is long. Oh, thank you, Zach. That reminds me. Wednesday night is our assignment discussion session. Please don't forget. I will put a reminder on the announcement page, and I will also put the link to it's the same collab link, but I will just put it on there again and email it to everyone. So it's Wednesday night at 6, same time. And all I'm going to do is I will unpack your assignment for you, question by question, so that yeah, and you still have enough time to do that. So yes, all the best with that, and with your second ICE task. Anytime, just message me if you have any questions or concerns. Okay, that's not me, I promise. But thank you very much, everyone,
All
and
right.
you guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Pleasure. Have a good evening
Bye.
further.
Good
Cheers.
evening,
You
everyone.
too. Bye.
Nice getting to know you
Bye.
all. Bye. Bye.
Bye.